think you guys go first.
But you got 7 guys that could have entered the draft to come back. Just how big is that?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably, obviously we've great job by our staff in recruiting in the 25 class. But really, you talk about those older guys that made the decision to come back. I think that's, the best recruiting job of all. I think it also speaks to players believing in a culture, believing in what we're doing moving forward and what we're able to accomplish. Even when things didn't go as well at times last season, right? And certainly, there was more for us to be able to give. I think the players see the vision, the older guys in particular see the vision of where we're headed. And so awesome kind of stamp of approval on those guys. And then it just sets the tone for all these younger players. I mean, nowadays you would sign somebody in February and you'd have to wait till the summertime to get them here. You sign them and then they're here, and so they're able to kind of draw upon the experience of these older players, and that part's really helpful.
Who do you see emerging on the interior of that defensive line that we may have not been talking about?
Yeah, I think you saw some guys that started taking steps in the bowl game against Michigan. I thought certainly obviously James Smith had a great game and is going to take a more central role for us moving forward. But guys this spring that I'm noticing out there, Edric Hill's doing a really good job, Jeremiah Beeman's doing a really good job, and so we're going to have to ask some of those younger players to step up in a major role this year, and so it's going to be a tough challenge for them.
Do you feel like you have enough depth on the interior? Do you feel like you have enough depth on the interior?
I don't know if I ever feel like I have enough depth on the interior, but it's certainly an area that I think from a defensive standpoint, it's probably one of our biggest areas of depth concern. That development is the best recipe for that. But certainly we'll make sure we address those needs in any way we need to before the season.
This is probably more of a regular season question than a spring question, but when other teams got the ball on your 1 yard line, what's the most important thing to getting that stop on goal line?
You're saying like first and goal from the 1?
Or any down and goal.
Yeah, so we talked, I mean, obviously we've been really successful over the years in red zone defense. And I think, certainly we do some things schematically that I really like, but more than anything, I think it's the mentality that we build. We talk about having a situational philosophy and talking about it in red zone defense. And the biggest thing is the ability to hold the line. I think maybe I've told you guys this before, but we use a reference from the movie The Black Panther, and T'Challa in the movie says, "E Bombay." I looked that up, and it's an African Bantu word that means hold fast the line, and so I think our players, just getting them to buy into something, because a lot of it is putting yourself in a mentality. I don't care if they just cram the ball down your throat for 85 yards or the offense turn the ball over and it's first and goal on the 5. It's a mentality that you have to find a way to get a stop there. I showed the guys this morning, great example of LSU. They break a big run against us. It's first and goal on the 5 yard line. We get off the field, we get a stop, we hold them to a field goal. They don't score a touchdown until a minute left in the game, right? So just that mentality, how important it is to have a never quit. It ain't over till it's over down there.
How would you assess the bandit position and just how Kelby fits into that group of returners?
Well, Kelby's doing both for us, so he's playing inside and outside, which is a lot to ask for a guy coming in new. But like some things that I see from him, he's growing and learning into the position, learning the defense, even fundamentally how we do things versus maybe where he was before. You see some differences there, but obviously from an overall position standpoint, I mean, LT Overton, Jordan Renaud, Keon Keeley's doing some really good things right now, so I'm excited about that unit.
It's rare we see a guy like Dijon Lee, so tall, playing the cornerback position. What have you seen from him, and is he going to stick at corner, you think, or is he kind of more of a safety?
Well, I mean, obviously time will tell, right, and bodies develop and all those things. He looks like a corner right now. He just looks like a really long-ass corner. But he's got really good feet. He's got a maturity. Reminds me a little bit of Zabian. I don't want to put too much pressure on him too early, but he has a demeanor that would indicate that a freshman could come in and contribute. And Mo does such a great job with just the discipline and detail of those guys. in the position. I think he had a pick today, which was great, but he gave up a ball today as well. So those are the give and take of how will he respond to that as spring ball goes on.
What's your
the biggest
cornerback?
point of emphasis? I'm sorry.
I'll
Go ahead.
What's the biggest point of emphasis for the defense this spring that you want them to accomplish during this period?
So a couple things. First off, we want to be able to create more negative plays, and that's hard to be able to see a little bit when the quarterback's not live. That's a good thing, but that we don't let our quarterbacks go live right now. But at the same time, I thought, we took some great strides and had some really good numbers from an efficiency standpoint defensively, but we were not anywhere where we need to be in terms of creating negative plays. And so that's got to be a point of emphasis from a fundamental standpoint, schematically, and then just having an understanding of that. And then, we're a vision coverage-based team, and we were able to create a lot of takeaways. I think we finished, 4th in the country, something like that, in takeaways this year, which was good. But I thought we left a lot of opportunities out there from a standpoint of our players being able to anticipate, like, when you play with vision, they're based upon the quarterback's drop and where his eye progression goes, you've got to be able to react upon that, right? And play with anticipation as opposed to reaction. And we're not anywhere where we need to be yet.
Speaking of cornerbacks, what are you seeing from Cam Calhoun so far?
Really like Cam. He has a maturity about him. You can tell, this dude's been a seasoned player at a place that, has established itself as one of the great defenses year in and year out at Utah. So, it's not an easy task to get on the field with that program. And he was, and it was a starter. And so it was awesome to be able to gain that experience from him. But he's got a little, he's from Cincinnati. Cincinnati guys, if you've ever recruited that area, they got a little something to him, you know what I mean? And so he plays with a good energy, plays with a mindset of attacking the ball and brings some juice to our group. We're a relatively quiet secondary for the most part, so it's kind of nice to have another guy out there that plays up in people's face.
Speaking of Ohio guys, what have you seen of Justin Hill and kind of his
Yeah,
transition here?
Justin, another young guy that is just, he's got a maturity about him. I mean, some of these freshmen, it amazes me. I think about, like, where was I in the headspace at 18 years old about my freshman year in college at the University of Arkansas? I wasn't anywhere close to what some of these guys are in terms of, athletically, obviously, but more so from a standpoint of just their mentality, you know what I mean? And these guys come with a mentality, they're ready to work, and you see it. I walk down the defensive staff room, and there's freshmen in every single coach's office, and that's a testament to our coaches, but it's also a testament to those freshmen. Justin Hill's a great example of that.
It seems like LT came like a fingernail away from like 5 sacks last season. He's
Yeah.
gotten the pressures, hasn't gotten to the quarterback. What do you see him in terms of taking that next step?
Well, I think I got to do some things to help him out, right? There's some emphasis points of just, we talk about it all the time. If we can get indicators that there's a pass, all of our calls have a mentality that when we recognize pass, we might run a pattern and a blitz where we step on the toes of the guard and then work into the A gap, right? Or widen yourselves out a little bit as a pass rusher. So just those little nuance pieces, we're going to try to work those things, give them a chance to go cut it loose off the edge. I've said this before, LT's one of the best on-body rushers I've seen. So he does a really good job when he's on body of being able to take those little, twists and moves and hand placement and footwork and all that stuff. And I think him just taking that next step and us making it as a point of emphasis, hopefully, those quarterback hurries turn into to sacks.
What did you learn about your defense last year, and what's the next step for the unit? Is just overall, where can it go?
Well, I think when you look at a young group of guys, and this starts with me, right? My first year here, and I think the biggest experience that we can all gain from last season is there has to be a sense of urgency to do the same high-level job every single day. And I don't think it was malicious by anybody from a standpoint of, maybe you have a good day here or your focus here or walking into this game versus that game. But when you have success, it should breed a sense of urgency to create more success for you. And I don't think we handled success well as a team collectively, and I think that hurt us on the field. It obviously hurt us on the field. And so those are the things that, what you want to try to build in these young players is understanding that take the experiences you've had and apply them to have a sense of urgency, not a panic, but a sense of urgency to attack every single rep over and over and over again. And I think that to me is what has kept us from being great a year ago.
How would you assess the Husky position right now?
Yeah, I think Day was coming back from a little injury, so he's been out a little bit. Just now getting to see him a little bit there, going through individual and stuff. Been really impressed with Dre Kirkpatrick. He's doing some really good things. And then we've got a fairly deep secondary, and so there's a lot of positional crossover. So right now it's trying to figure out, once we come back from spring break, who are the guys that we're going to try to get a few extra reps at that nickel position, Husky position, and try to build depth for us as a defense, which is something that we did not have in the secondary, a year ago, and really that hurts you, right, when you're in games like Tennessee and all of a sudden our 1 and 2 Husky go down, and then our 3 Husky goes down, and somebody else is in there, and so we need to try to build that overlap.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks guys.
Appreciate it,
Roll Tide.
Ken.